So also to capture ya, or to comprehend ya, he gets may apply for whatever you want it to be for you. So meanwhile, let the children come out. Agegukwe, call speech. Is there any children? This is a lot of children. No?
All right, there's an address called 3014 Oak Forest Drive. That's where every child runs to. If anybody's pursuing them, and that's Mama's house. And the kids know her as Mama. So, everybody has a special, she has a special name she calls them. Some of them are funny. In fact, all of them are funny. But she means something special to each and every one of them. So they're all going to talk 2 minutes. They will just introduce themselves and talk. So the first person is Munachi. She has the same birthday with Mama, and she calls her sister. So tell them about Mama.
When Mama was getting sick, I was chosen to be her helper. So I'd help her make her food, I'll help her get ready, I'll help her go to church, I'll get all her medicine. And during that time, I was getting closer to Mama. And now that she's gone, she'll be dearly missed. But I know that her presence is still here because her presence is still strong in this place.
Thank you. And this is Mama's goddaughter. So tell us what Mama means to you.
Okay, for starters, she was my godmother, and she never failed to tell people that. She always told people not to trouble me because I'm her daughter. And she would always ask me how school was going and would pray for me regarding school, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Mama was both my mom and my dad because she provided for me. She sheltered me, she fed me, she even clothed me, she provided things that we needed. When I came here newly, I stayed in Mama's house. My sister and I stayed in Mama's house. She put a roof over our head, she put food on our table. She made sure we were okay and academically okay too. Mama was everything, and I pray that she's in heaven, which she is. I pray that I know that heaven has an angel added to their community.
Mama was like a mom to me, and she always cared about everyone. She cared about me, and every single time, at night, she always calls everyone to her room to pray with her, which was a prayer work. And she always cared about everyone. She always told me what to do, and she always told me to do my homework on time. And she cared about me, and
Mama was a very joyous person. She always was there for each and every one of us. Not just one of us, she always shared her love with everyone. She gave me the nickname of Prof, which is short for professor, that she had great things for me. She said I would do great things in the future. She always cared, she always looked out for me. She would always check up on me. She would make sure I'm all right. Back in school, when no one could pick me up after school, she would always come and make sure I was okay when I was sick. if no one else would come, she would always come. She would be the first one. She would be the one to make sure that I was okay and everything was okay.
Mama, when I first came to America 10 years ago, I stayed in her house. And then there I learned what kind of person she was. Day and night I could hear her pray. She mostly prayed about her children and how much she wanted them to succeed. She also prayed about her family. And like he said, she was always there when someone needed her. I'd just like to say that you really don't understand how much someone needs you until you realize that you'll never see that person.
Okay, how do I begin? I'd like to say about my Aunt Mama, I've never seen someone in my life as powerful in the Lord as her. Whenever she sang, her voice just vibrated the house. I swear, one of those days on Thanksgiving, I thought the glasses were to shatter how loud she sang. If you're in the house, you walked in, you know she'd be in the house because you hear her voice the second you enter the door. And she'd always like poke fun at me, make fun of my last name. It was always hilarious. She always pronouncing it wrong. We always had a good laugh. One thing I know about Mama is she's just the embodiment of what it means to like live your life through Christ, live your life with not having any regrets, nothing held back. She did her duty. She took care of all of us. She treated us as she was one of her children. And when she was dazed on her sick bed, I squeezed her hand and I felt her. Everyone was talking to her. Her eyes were opening. I squeezed and I felt her hand, and her eyes opened a little bit to look at me. As my tears fell on her hand, promising her to get better. Mama was very special to me, and she always held a place in my heart.
When I first came to America, Mama taught me all the skills I needed to enroll in school. And during that time, I used to hate reading. But then she always used to make me read. And then eventually I started to like reading. And so Mama will always hold a very special place in my heart.
Mama was a strong person. It wouldn't be strange to say that she was the strongest person ever. She was more of a mentor to me. She always taught me what to do and how to be with my siblings. And I saw her as an example to set myself towards whenever I was having any issues with my siblings, because she always takes care of everyone. I want to say that I really appreciate her and everything she's done, and I'll continue to remember her as I move on in life. And I promise that I'll do my best to take care of my siblings like she did hers.
First and foremost, I just want to say Mama is like no other woman that I've ever met in my life. The way that she loved God ferociously, and the way she prayed, and the way she walked in faith basically influenced my love for God. She was there for every milestone of my life, my high school graduation, choosing which college I was going to get into, and everything that I did, she was extremely proud of me. The night that she passed away, unbeknownst to me, she appeared to me in a dream, and every time I saw her, she kept on repeating, "I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you." And I know that she's dancing and smiling down on us from heaven, and she will always be, my life will never be the same. I can just say that.
Sometimes when you hear that someone lost their auntie, you don't really understand the gravity of that. But for me, Auntie Nana was someone who has always been there for me since I can remember. She was there and took me to a lot of my firsts. My first movie she took me to, of course, was Passion of the Christ. My first concert she took me to, of course, it was a Christian concert in the church. And she taught me what it really means to live out loud for God. Every summer, me and Uganda were just talking about how she would always take us to Ihim crusades every summer. And one of my most memorable memories of her was one trip we were on a bus to go to another Ihim concert. The bus tire had busted, and we were stopped at a supermarket. Auntie Nana, in her nature and fire for God, knelt down in front of that giant and started praying. Praying that we would get transportation, praying that we would get some way that we would get to that crusade. And one man came out of the store and said, "What happened?" And I explained, "The bus broke down." And he said, "Yeah, I get it, but what's wrong with that lady?" I said, "She's praying." And ever since then, I will always know that you have to live out loud for God. And I will always hold that dear to my heart.
My memory of Mama, I just knew she was a strong woman. You could tell by the way she walked, the way she talked, and the way she sang. It was with the power of God. She was a very noble woman, and I really don't know how our family is going to function without her. I don't really have a lot to say, but I really love Mama.
Morning, girl. What are you doing now? So, very good. Mom, very good. Can very good.
I used to call Auntie Nene Auntie Danene, and I didn't know that we were supposed to call her Auntie Nene, that the da was already that she was older. So one day she's like, "Uche, you call me Auntie Danene, you're meant to call me Auntie Nene, not Auntie Danene." And we made a good laugh about it. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna learn to call you Auntie Nene and not Auntie Danene." But I still, to the day she passed away, called her Auntie Danene. There's some people that tell you God said, and there's some people that tell you God said, and actually God is speaking. On December 4th, 2015, 11:22 p.m., Auntie Nene called my phone when I was about to make one of the biggest decisions of my life. And she said, "God said you shouldn't." And that's all she said on the phone. And I said to her, "Auntie, it's too late." And she hung up. Until today, I believe and I know that when Auntie Nene tells you God said, God is actually speaking. She doesn't just say God said because she feels it. It's actually what God is saying. And when she died, I knew she died because I was at work. And she flashed in my eyes and I had this super headache. And I told them I had to go home. And as I was driving home, my mom calls me, and she said Auntie Nene was gone. I knew exactly the day, the time, but she's someone that we might not be very close, but she wrote me my first invitation letter to step my feet in North America before I decided to move to Canada. So she was that great person to me personally and my family. My brother learned how to ride his first bicycle in Auntie Nene's house. And we wore clothes that she would buy for her kids. Back when she was in Nigeria, she would dress us all up together and there was no division. So she was a great woman of God.
All right. Thank you, Mama Sheila.
Yes, my people, can you put your hands together for this? These children were descendants of Abraham. Their grandfather is Abraham. And you know when God promised Abraham, I'm going to make you a father of a multitude of nations. And you can see that. Everybody will have something to say about this lady. Let me tell you something. If I want to call children to talk, or they call Hanwa, and couldn't get it funny. Half of the people, half of the adults not here will have something to say about this lady. If not for anything, this lady has prayed for most families here. But to something again to hear, well, when you make up your mind for something, be steadfast. This woman believes in everything Christ. Moto kusi, obedi bebere. Obenolo, obedi bebere. Family issue, obedi bebere. Idia kosere yakubo, obedi bebere. That means so we handle there. It's a matter of faith. Open the area, don't worry. If you want to walk towards it, walk towards it. If you cannot be a Iroko tree, at least be a shrub, very close to the top of the mountain. Can we come with the area? That table has an anaga. You know, when the band of army came after Joshua, he simply stood and prayed. He said, "My Lord, my God, here I am. Fight for me." All he did was blow the trumpet. Dust, darkness, the crowd on him. To the point that Joshua came out to the army. They didn't recognize him. He took them to the water side, left them there, and walked away. Praise the Lord. I didn't just walk out, go follow. Now, I'm going to look at you and misunderstand it. Yeah, but I go with them and I read the Bible and I try to understand it all. Oh, hang on at church in Aruraka, I go on activity anniversary. But anyway, I have that one. Because at this point, Agamalake Kampo, Reverend Dr. Joy. Konya is more preaching. Please, at that time I would want everybody here to please try as much as you can to minimize moving around. All is so interruptive. As a matter of fact, all the rule that when somebody is speaking, he move watch it, he can look careful. All these things were interruptions. Or watch out behavior of, hear the proper respect from an adult. Especially this type of speech we want to hear now. Because pay attention as much as you can. Before then, vehicles to park here, they are blocking people. A Lincoln Navigator, gray, what year? License plate 5DK 6830. Okay, because open again with the Lincoln, you need to go move it now. Because by the number you can see now the vehicle. Don't block anybody use any vehicle like a year or two, correct. Because if I have that car, if you block me, I will tow your car. Yes, because you know what, if you buy a new car, one of the one will give us reals, two will the shop, three will them finance. So what the promoter do like 5, 6, 7 years, they're parking as well. Can you comprehend that? What if we back at Roswell, you don't ever see you park close to it. Oh, yeah, when you kill a guy, or my abandon Maggie, or Roswell, because of talking contamination from property. So, because my people, here we are small preaching, then we'll come to dance, and then we'll recognize our people that came from out of town, and so on and so forth. And even our people here, because all here guys never. Thank you. The Reverend, because
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.